Evening. We will start now. Today will be the last lecture of the economy. After this, I will be now begin my next preparation. So today I request you all kindly ask questions proactively. If any you have doubts regarding economy, outside economy, any subject regarding UPSC, UPSC preparations, anything, any doubts you have in your mind regarding this examination, I'll be happy to uh, clear the doubts or try to clear the doubts. So we will solve some 10 MCQs from what we have learned yesterday. So following statements, keyword is here is correct statement. So agriculture in India is the core sector for food security, nutritional security, sustainable development, and poverty elevation. 14% of GDP. 14 This is right. I, IT support new methods of precision agriculture, computer farm machine mechanized and irrigation. Irrigation. Smart irrigation to smart. Answer should be this. Yes. 14% IT. Each Choupal operation is implemented in which state? Hmm, this is a very subjective and specific question, and the states participation may change. Earlier states may withdraw their participation, or new states may join. So such kind of questions UPSC hardly asks. Even I don't have any idea about this because same thing, high subjectivity. Uh, some states may drop out, new states may join. When the question is framed, even between those times, statistics may change. What is the answer? We'll see. It is C. They are saying C. It's Kerala. ITC is the agribusiness division, one of the largest in India's exporter of agricultural commodity, has conceived e-Chopal efficient supply chain. Okay. Delivering the value to its customers around the world on a sustainable basis. Each Chopal model has specifically designed to challenges posed by the unique features of fragmented farms, weak infrastructure, and environment. Okay. 6,100 each Chopals, according to this information, are in operation. Okay, in the 10 states. So this is the ambiguity. You can't remember 10 states, and also there may be some inclusion and exclusions by the time paper and by the time the answer is prepared. Okay. So, but this is a good thing to remember that each of opals are something to do with agriculture supply chains. This is with the question. Okay. Next thing. I think the chat is disabled. Uh, it should not be disabled. I don't know. I'll just make the arrangements for chat. Okay? Right. Sorry for the glitch. I'll answer all the questions. So the third question is regarding the government has constituted the National Commission on Farmers in 2004 under the chairmanship of NO. Uh, this was M.S. Swaminathan. And Mr. M.S. Swaminathan. And Mr. Harjinder Singh is a food scientist. Okay, he is a food scientist. So this is how UPSC might frame a question, definitely. So, farmers, MS Swaminathan, and this was a very groundbreaking report by this commission, which has led to the creation of National Policy for Farmers in 2007. Okay, so based on the recommendation made by this commission, central ministry, departments, state and state government, the national policy of farmers has been formulated through and approved by the GOI too. Now we have to find the correct step. So one is correct, one is not correct because it is an examination, and two is correct. So answer will be B. What is the answer? It's B. Harjinder Singh is food scientist. So farmers, this is a very important thing, USOF. So you should know anything, everything about it. Okay. So Universal Service Obligation Fund has launched wireless broadband scheme in 2009 too. USOF, yesterday we saw National Optical Fiber Network. It is also approved by Bharat Broadband Limited, right? Uh, the name of the scheme is Bharat Net. When it was launched, now it is upgraded by the current government as Bharat Net 2.0, which BharatNet 2.0, which further uh, is for rural digital connectivity. Rural digital connectivity. Last year when I was studying, I had a information that 2.5 gram panchayats are to be connected under this ambitious scheme. This scheme is aimed at reducing the digital divide, reducing the digital divide, which is in consonance with our national e-mission. National e-mission. Also, it will lead to the connectivity. National e-mission Extremely sorry for my interruption. It won't happen now. I am in some sort of COVID emergency going on in my family. I need to balance both the things. Sorry for that. So BharatNet 2, rural digital connectivity, 2.5 lakh gram panchayat, national e-mission, and which sustainable development goal uh, will be for this uh, pushing for digital connectivity? It will be It will be helpful for SDG 1, reducing poverty in rural areas. It will be also important for SDG 3, telemedicine. Also, it will be is most important will be 7 and 9. 9 will be most important, technology related. So these are the SDG that will be completed from it. So bandwidth from national optical fiber will be available to give wireless link services to rural area. Right. We need to find the correct statements. All of these are correct. Yes. Consider the following statement: pilot project scheme for mobile values added services and VAS for rural women self-help group is also part of Bharat Nirman. Pilot project for mobile values added services and PES for women self-help group is also part of it. Bharat Nirman is all about connecting Gram Panchayats. Okay, Bharat Nirman or BharatNet is about that and not regarding this. So I don't think that this might be one of the component of a different scheme, but this might not be covered under this Bharat Nirman is a different game. Bharat Nirman is different game. So one in this self-help group, on the basis of their activities, are provided information in local languages through SMS, through outbound dialects, right? Integrated voice system. Yes, yes. We need to find the incorrect statement. So two is correct, one is incorrect. The answer will be one. Yes, pilot project number is a Sanchar Shakti program. Yes, it is under USOF, not Bharat Nirman. Sanchar Shakti program. Rest is Consider the following statement about Kisan credit cards. Kisan credit card allows farmer to have cash credit facilities. Yes, that is the purpose without going through time-consuming bank crediting, screening hassles for a hassle-free process. Yesterday I have explained this thing. This is true. Kisan credit card is valid for 5 years. No, 3 years. Subject to annual renewals. True. Withdrawals are made using slip cards and a passbook. True. We need to find the correct statement. This is incorrect. This is correct. Answer will be one. Kisan card is valid for 3 years and not 5 years. Yes, Kisan credit card it uses the ICT platform RBI, GOI, NABARD since 1999 for timely and adequate credit. Uh, More suitable word is formal credit. Okay, because already farmers have access to a credit, but that is money lenders informal credit charged at very high and exploitative rates, which is also in conflict with law. So the government shall extend the formal credit line. This is a formal credit line, and this is a proper terminology to be written in the main sense. Some credit card allows farmers to have down. Okay, 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 okay. Okay. And the card is valid. Yes, here it is for 3 years, subject to annual release. Consider the following. Sandesh means message. Pathak means to say. Application solely developed. Now this is an extreme word. Solely developed. No single institute can develop such an integrated app. This is very rare. And if UPSC is giving you such an extreme word, then this must be wrong. It is usable by people who cannot read. True. A large population of farmers belong to this category. True. When they receive an SMS message, either continue the app will read aloud. Yes, and we need to find the correct statement. So one is wrong, two is answer. B. So, SIDAC Mumbai, IIT Madras, Hyderabad, Kharagpur, and SIDAC Thiruvananthapuram enable the SMS. Uh, Anybody from Tamil Nadu? Why still it is called as IIT Madras and not IIT Chennai? This is or IIT Bombay and not IIT Mumbai. I'll get back to you, okay, at the end of the discussion. This is interesting. Consider the following statement. The Village Resource Center by ISRO, yesterday I taught you this thing, serves as an information dissemination center, provide instant access to farmers to latest information, knowledge available in the field of agriculture, starting with crop protection, marketing. Wrong. ISRO do no such thing. And village knowledge centers are connected to knowledge expert cells like agricultural universities, skill development institutes, and also this ISRO will do. This ISRO will do. So they are, I think they are interchanged. They are interchanged. So, which is the correct statement? Both are wrong. Neither. Answer is yes, yes. They are interchanged. Interchanged. Village knowledge centers, VKC, they serve as an information dissemination center with micro details and micro marketing. VRC by ISRO will be just a facilitator. They won't do anything by itself, but they will just a facilitator. They will connect one thing with other and with third thing, and then they will just give you the technology. Consider the following statement. Moisture sensors in the ground are able to communicate information about the level of the moisture present at the certain depth of soil. This type of question UPSC asks, and these are very tricky questions. Many people will think, hey, this is not possible, but this is possible. With right equipment, a farmer can control his irrigation system from a phone or computer instead of driving to each field. Yes, right. Yesterday I have personally told you my story. This both are correct, and you need to find the correct statement. Answer is C. Irrigate via smartphone, yes, under this ahead. Moisture sensors, yes, definitely. Technology can do wonders. Which IPR industrial policy is the Mahalobnis model? That is the basic framework. Mahalobnis, IPR 1952, 56. IPR 1956, Mahalobnis model for second 5-year plan. Focus on heavy industrialization. And this is how, because of Himalayan blunder and failure on policy on our front, that in first 5-year plan we focused on agri, and agri we should have stayed there for at least 25 years. But within 5 years we went to industrialization, which where we should have stayed at least for 50 years. But again in 1991 we jumped to service sector, leaving behind an immature industrial sector. And this is, according to economic survey, the phenomenon of premature deindustrialization. Still, China is in industrial phase, not in service phase. See, because they don't want to prematurely deindustrialize their economy, and we jump from agri to industries and from industries to service without any making any policy. This is a IPR 1956. This is the answer. So now we will take the question answers. I think that is disabled. Why chat is not opening? Hmm. Okay, okay. So now the uh, question is which topics we need to concentrate more on prelims. So definitely prelims is a, is a predictable game in my opinion because since many years they are regularly asking questions on same things. In economy, let's suppose 10 questions will be there in your preliminary examination. Actually, it's around 16 to 17, directly, indirectly. But suppose 10 purely economic questions. 5 will be from static, and 5 will be from current affairs. But how current affairs will be there? They will pick up an issue which is happening uh, in news, and then they will fuse it with static, and then they will ask. Just this year, they have asked what will happen if you will withdraw your 1 lakh demand deposit. Very beautiful question, very thoughtful question. Because after pandemic, most of the people started withdrawing by having apprehension that economy is going at a negative growth rate and banking sector may hit, and their deposits might be lost. So this doesn't happen because government is already counts your demand deposits in M1. That is active currency in market plus demand deposits is M2. This is M2. And it is also form of a liquid money, which RBI thinks that it's already in market because anytime you can demand and you can have your money. So uh, the value, the level of currency won't change in market because it was already counted in market, and such was a conceptual question. So amid pandemic and increased withdrawals in Indian banking system, they fused this current news with the static concept of you must be knowing, no? M0, M1, M2, M3, high powered money, etc. So 10 questions, 10 questions will be from so this is how they will ask. Uh, in static part, they will ask at least one question on monetary policy, at least one question on fiscal policy, and at least 2 to 3 questions from basics of Indian economy or basics of economy as a whole, macroeconomy, GDP. This is the very favorite question of UPSC, CRAR or CAD, capital adequacy ratio. So every now and then they will ask somehow out, they will ask you about output ratio. In other words, they will ask sometimes capital adequacy ratio. So this is how they ask from static also. And rest are the questions that are resource based. They will also fuse economy with agriculture, economy plus agri, and then they will ask the percentage of area sown under sugarcane is more or jawar is more. Who is the largest exporter of rice? I knew that India was, but recently it was changed to Vietnam, and UPSC asked this question, and the answer key was in 2019 preliminary examination, and the answer was given Vietnam because it was given in India yearbook. And every coaching class, literally every coaching class, said that India has overtaken China in the in the export of rice, not grower. Largest producer of rice is still China, but they were asking exporter. China does not export. In Chinese culture, rice is very important diet or their main diet. They don't eat wheat or any other pulses. They eat only. So they China is largest producer but also largest exporter, just like milk in our case. We are the largest exporter of milk and also the largest consumer of milk. So we are not that much net exporter of milk. Who are the countries net exporter of milk? New Zealand, because they export, they produce a lot but they consume very less because they don't have the consumption in their culture that much. So that UPSC also taken Vietnam as answer because ultimately UPSC will rely on government sources. So that is another important that you should read the current India Air book. 4 to 5 questions come from there directly. So this was about economy. Any other questions? For economy, this is a very wonder book. It is very small, only IMP, only important things are covered and very easy for quick revision. This is one book. I also, for very few subjects, I referred to the this document. One of is economy plus science plus. This is available freely in market, so you can have it. Yes, that's it. Only for these things I have gone through this document. Rest of the things are not that important because if you see in 2017, 78 questions were static in nature. In 2018, 75 questions were static in nature. In 2019, 88 questions were static in nature. In 2020, 89 questions are static in nature. Whereas in this was the year where UPSC has changed its prelim pattern. 2016, 44 questions were static and 56 were from current affairs. So this was a drastic jump of UPSC in decreasing the weightage given to the current affairs section. So don't waste your time that much on current affairs. Current affairs are only, see, I have given you the example. Current affairs, there won't be any question directly on it, but UPSC will take take the theme from current happenings. Then they will look for whether it any question from the static syllabus involves this thing, and if yes, then question will surely come on this static syllabus. If the banking frauds or financial frauds are happening, the UPSC won't ask question directly on the financial frauds, but then it will again go and see whether if RBI is having any legislation or any rule to uh, overlook if such frauds are happening, under which act? Banking Regulation Act of 1945. RBI has a mandate to enforce any supervisory power on any commercial bank, even on foreign bank. If they are having a credible presence in our country, then they have to comply with the RBI norms of supervision. Because even if they are foreign banks, but they are heavily involved in Indian business activities. They are accepting these Indian deposits, etc. etc. Then now currently farmer march is going on. Farmer march is going on in Delhi. So they won't ask directly question on this or on the current legislation, but what they will ask will be on the earlier agri policy, or what is MSP. This will be the question, favorite question of UPSC, because all the march is regarding that farmers are fearing that they might lose the MSP thing, specifically from farmers from the Punjab, Haryana, and Western Uttar Pradesh, and that's why that's where major farmers are coming into Delhi to protest, because then UPSC will not go into the controversy, but they will ask the theme, what is MSP, or how many product, how many things, which of the following does not have MSP? They might ask, and one option they will give sugarcane. Sugarcane does not have MSP. Sugarcane have FRP, fair remunerative price. So wheat they will give, some pulse they will give, copra they will, coconut husk coconut will give. Mostly people will hit any other thing, but sugarcane will be the answer. So this is how they will ask question. Okay. Please ask if you have any doubts. Means I know that many people have many doubts, but don't be shy in asking questions, because that is the most important part. If you are preparing without having any doubts, means that means you are not preparing well. I had many doubts, and I asked many of my friends. My even I decided to pursue UPSC in a late age. Most of by that time, most of my juniors had already cracked IAS ranks or IPS ranks. I was not hesitant or shy to ask to them uh, about my doubts, and they were very happy and cordial to solve my doubts, because just efforts don't matter, and just hard work won't take you anywhere. You need to be means I always say that there is a difference between speed and velocity. You know the difference between speed and velocity. Both are same thing if we see in a layman's eye, but they are very widely different if you see with the proper eye. Speed is a scalar quantity, and velocity is a vector quantity. What vector quantity means that when speed is defined with direction, it is called as velocity. And this is the first step of UPSC. You don't run wherever you see ground. You run with a proper direction, the direction in which you are supposed to run. You don't do hard work like a bull. You don't do hard work like that. You do hard work with proper channel, with proper targets, and with proper vision. Having direction, giving direction to your hard work and preparation is the most crucial thing to do. Okay. Where to practice means are the writing questions. So, Priyanka, uh, the best source will be previous 5 year question papers, but writing is only half thing. Uh, you need to get it moderated or checked by a eligible person. Uh, I have not joined in last year, because in Delhi I have seen that the paper where there is over marketization, and I went to some private coaching institute there. There I saw that the students who were not able to clear the prelims, they were moderating or checking the answer papers for the students who are going to write the mains examination. So practicing a mains answer you is one thing, but getting it moderated from eligible person has already who has already cleared mains or attempted many couple of interviews or is into the list. That is the most important thing, because honestly, that what I used to do, I made a group of four of my friends who were writing mains, and we were damn serious, and we used to exchange between each other. And there were two of my seniors who were into those services. Then they used to cross moderate it, and this is how we diversified our knowledge. It's very easy to point out someone else's mistake, and equally it's hard to see our own mistakes. So we used to very happily point out the mistakes of other fellow, and they used to in turn point out the mistake of mine. And then the supervision by senior. So this was how we got to know our own drawbacks, non-strength areas where we are too verbose, where we should draw diagrams. So in this such way. Okay. So how often should we revise? Should we dedicate it one day weekly? How often we should revise? Should we dedicate one day weekly for revision only? Not just one day. Here, revise as much as you can. Revise as much as you can. What amount of hard work you have put does not matter if you are not able to reproduce the content in the examination hall. For prelims, what you do in those 2 hours decides your fate. In mains, what you write in your mark answer sheet, because examiner does not know you personally, he will be knowing you through the answers that you have written. How well you write, how well you articulate, how well you present, how neat and tidy your paper is, how uh, how meaningfully you explain the question asked. So to do this, it's a very tricky thing. So you need to revise. I don't remember the number of revisions that I have done. Just when I began in February 2017, uh, for just for polity, Lakshmikant, whenever I used to holistically read it very finely, not just time pass reading, I used to put a star that one reading is done, second is done. So since February 2017 to my before just before my interview in the month of July 2020, 29 stars were there. So I have read Lakshmikant very deeply 29 times, and only after that I have mastered the quality that I won't miss out any question, any MCQ or any mains question. So revise as much as you can. Sir, now Priyanka is asking strategy for means answer writing practice. Yes, there are different approaches. I am glad that you have asked this question. There are different approaches to write or hit the question. For example, now this is a very good question. This is a very good question, and I would like to talk to you in detail. When this Now let's say we will take a common topic which is common in GS1 for means GS2, GS3 and GS4. What is the thing? Poverty. Now we will be talking poverty. The poverty, poverty. It's not in GS4, but indirectly they can ask on poverty also. It will come under the Indian society part. Indian society part of our syllabus of GS1. It will come under the governance part on polit in paper 2, uh, the poverty eradication program governance perspective. GS3 it will come from Indian economics part of GS3 because it is a economic phenomenon and it will come under ethics. Okay. Now, question power task if it comes in GS1, okay, GS1, and if you are writing there, mostly writing governance policies, poverty eradication program, Garibi Hatao. If you are writing from the economic perspective, like Tendulkar line, Lakadwala line, you won't get marked. Though you have written whatever is relevant, whatever is correct, whatever is right, it is related to poverty, anything, but you have written it in the wrong paper. It for GS1, the question on poverty, you need to write the socio-economic dimensions of poverty. Socio-economic dimensions of poverty. That is the gender divide, the caste lines, the interregional disparity in our country, the Western developed and Eastern underdeveloped region, even in developed states like, for example, developed states like or relatively developed states like Maharashtra, we have uh, interregional disparity. Like Western Maharashtra is prosperous, but Vidarbha and Marathwada has one of the highest suicides among farmers. So these are the socio-economic dimensions of poverty. Then historical background, because Marathwada was under the rule of Nizam, or Hyderabad, the Bombay Hyderabad area of Karnataka was under the Nizams. So relatively, the institutional foundation was very late here. It was not under British Raj, so institutional foundations were laid. So that's how institution developed slowly. That's how health and education remained on the back seat, and that's why poverty is there. Way forward should be also in that way. If the question on poverty is related in coming in paper 2, then it is a question of governance. Here you should write Garibi Hatao, Prime Minister point, poverty elevation program, Narega. Here you should write about Narega. Here you should write about the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Poverty Elevation. Okay. If it coming question is in poverty related in GS3, then it is they will be interested whether you know Tendulkar line, whether you know Lakadwala line, whether you know inflation targeting, whether you know the progressive taxation system, progressive taxation system. So this is the approach that you need to write. If it is coming in GS4, it is a question on ethics, and here you are writing about Narega or Garibi Hatao or progressive taxation. Then, though you are writing the relevant content, though you are writing the right content, but that is not relevant in this context of paper. Here you should write about the historical disadvantageness, historical disadvantageness, how poverty is inherited, how poverty has intergenerational cycle, why human greed is responsible for rising economic inequality. Here you can quote Mahatma Gandhi ji that Earth can give Earth can give whatever you need, but not as per your greed. This is the ethical angle of poverty. Uh, how human greed is responsible for this. How vanity vanity is responsible. Self obsession, vanity is too much fond for appreciation. It leads to over expenditure over expenditure on mundane things, material things, even by poor, even by poor. Here you can quote the example where recently uh, the siblings commit ended their unfortunately ended life because their parents refused to buy them a smartphone. And where this was coming from, because they belonged to a poor family and they were non-affording family, but everybody in their class was having smartphone. So this sibling thought fear of missing out. So out of that, uh, someone else is satisfying his or her vanity through expensive materials, but someone less fortunate is trying to imitate it. And this is how over expenditure or on mundane things, even by poor or farmer. We see that big fat Indian wedding is not a norm of rich people only. Now farmers are selling their land, and it's huge expenditure on the marriages of their children, specifically of daughter, just to show off. And that's how they lose the land. They get indebtedness. Then again they have to sell the land to repay this indebtedness. If they don't have the land, they need to go as a labor in the same land what was once theirs. And this is how they are pushed in the cycles of poverty. So this is ethical angle. Okay, so I have tried to explain you a single concept, but how different approaches are asked by UPSC. They need this. Many people, many examples you will see in the market, that they say that here UPSC, I don't know what is the marking scheme. Uh, last to last year, I had written very average answers, but I got good marks. And this year, I have written very beautiful, to the point, very specific, very good data. I have put everything, but I have scored very low. This is the thing, that you might have written what is best according to you, not UPSC. UPSC asks these things. UPSC is very specific when it comes to main syllabus. They don't want anything nonsense or overburden. Write specifically according to the demand of question within word limit, and that's it. You will score the marks. Next questions, please. Now ask quickly. Why chat is not? I'm not able to see the chat window here. Samir is asking your approach for current affairs. Can we skip newspaper and rely on coaching classes? Uh, it's a very dicey situation. Actually, newspaper forms a very integral part of your preparation, but directly it is not going to give you any questions. UPSC is not going to search the Hindu editions for looking for the questions directly. But the ethos will remain same. The flavor will definitely will be catched. It is helpful for overall generation of your basic knowledge about UPSC and the social issues, governance issue. Everything is covered in newspaper. So keep reading newspaper, but don't think that if you have read newspaper, then you will successfully crack every current affair. Rather, current affairs is a very risky game. Static questions, static questions are very predictable. Current affairs you predict. So it's good to have one credible coaching class monthly magazine, but questions definitely are not going to come from that also. But the genre, the essence, you will catch. You will be able to somehow relate. Because that Hadiya K. Ashokan versus State of Kerala, the interfaith marriage was there. So Supreme Court has said that yes, yes. Uh, uh, right to marriage is protected under Article 21, right to life. And this was the question in 2019. And that case was going on. They didn't ask the case. They just asked right to marriage is covered under Article 19, 20, 21, 22. Answer was 21. So, but I was connecting that yes, this question came because of that Hadia controversy in Kerala. Next thing was this year, the beauty of this examination, many people, you must have seen the news. Many people this year have said that what is this nonsense that male member of elephant herd is the captain, something like that. It was asked on the elephant herd. Question was asked on the elephant herd. And so I definitely knew that the female elephant is the captain of the herd. Female is the captain. Why? Because again in Kerala, you must have known that that nonsense guys, nonsense fellows, they have put some explosive material in a pineapple, and a pregnant elephant, female elephant, was killed. So this was the story. But why this question was asked? Because she was the captain of a herd of approximately 20 elephants, and now without any captain, these 20 elephants then uh, breach their forest tracks because captain walks and they just follow. They don't. Young elephants don't have any much of idea. Now the captain suddenly now captain is killed. These 20 elephants entered into the human habitation, and ultimately they killed around 11 people over a period of time in different accidents. So this is the human cost, ecological cost of killing one female elephant. So that's why the question was in this year's newspaper, but in a different essence. The UPSC never go in controversies. Next question. Oh, happened. This was about mains. Next thing, uh, it's a very subjective thing, but after I failed to clear 2017 examination, I failed to clear 2018 examination. Here I studied for 10 hours daily. I resigned from my class 1 officer medical job, and I worked studied for 10 hours daily, but I didn't get, but I was not disappointed. But here I used to study approximately 15 hours in Delhi in a library. I never joined the coaching class, but still I was not able. This year I had a score of 101. This year I had a score of 90.33. In 2019, I cleared the prelims and I studied for 14 hours daily in Delhi, and I scored 118 marks. In 2020, I again cleared the prelims. I haven't studied anything because from 4th August to 4th October, on this day, result came out. My felicitation programs were going on. Still, they are going on. So I didn't got any time for any kind of revision, not current affair, not static. So in the period of 2 months, I haven't read anything, but I got 128 marks this year, though it is called as one of the toughest paper so far. So what has worked here to here? This year it was about confidence. I had nothing to lose this year, and this year I made it the question of my life and death, and I have everything to lose. Everything to lose because I was obsessed 15 a day with a month before examination. This was 18 hours, which was a foolish thing. Being a doctor, I should have known that your brain is not designed to work for this much amount of time. So when you when your UPSC prepare becomes your obsession, you won't be able to clear the examination. And when you have a lot of confidence, and your UPSC is all about passion and not obsession, plus confidence. See, without any revising, see, i i have i have come I was in touch of syllabus till 27th of July, because that was my interview date. Then medical examinations were there. Then I had rested for few days, and then on 4th of August, result came out, and directly I went to the examination center on 4th of October, because I thought on the rank of 524 I have a scope of improvement. I scored 128, which I never imagined also. What has changed? I have dropped obsession in 2018, and I accepted that UPSC is just a part of my life and not my life. I won't see my life with the myopic vision of UPSC glasses. It is much better, beautiful, and bigger on other side of UPSC also. Beyond UPSC is also a life which is very happening and dynamic. So I let my obsession of 2018 go away completely, and I promised my parents that I will do just whatever is possible from my side. Whatever will be, I will happily accept it. I will happily accept it. So I reduced the studying hours also. I focused on my physical fitness, like running, yoga. I was very conservative about yoga, because I never thought that this is any established medical science, because I am a student of modern medicine, and there is no empirical study that shows yoga is do something with you. But uh, that is the thing that I reformed myself in 2019, and I uh, increased the horizons of my acceptance. Yes, though it is not a proven science, but why not give it a try? We will try. That it has worked as wonders. Only 10 minutes, 20 minutes running, and 10 minutes of breathing exercise definitely increased everything efficiency in myself. So this is how, this was the year where I cleared prelims. For the first time I wrote mains, and I was able to clear it. First time I went to interview, and first time into the recommended list. So that is the importance of your attitude. See, uh, I am a doctor, and I have seen hundreds and thousands of births and deaths in front of my eyes. What I have make an inference out of it, I have seen rich and poor crying for their life on their deathbed, and I also seen the pain and agony experience same thing, same stuff, same human emotions, same human feelings. Everybody experiences it. Yeah, in the city of Bombay, there is a stark economic divide, class divide. But believe me, in front of a doctor, everybody is in pain, agony, and same human emotions. When they are discharged, they are equally happy. The affection between mother and child, and husband and wife, and any other relation is equal across the regions, classes, castes, everything. So, what matters is your own perception about your life. Now you are looking at me. Actually, that's not me that you are looking at. You are looking at the reflection of light that is being carried through this internet, that is falling on your retina. Retina is projecting inverted image of me on your brain. Then it is reprojected on again on the um, uh, occipital lobe of yours, and that's how inverted images again made to see in a vertical position. So technically, where I am inside your mind. When you sense something pleasant, when you smell something pleasant, the smell comes inside you, and then you feel pleasant. So the happiness or sorrow out of a smell or a sight or an emotion is inside you. if someone near if someone uh, if something is lost, then you feel bad, but it is inside you. The thing is somewhere in the world. It was somewhere else in the world, then you purchased it, now you have lost it. It is in this world. It's just that you have lost your possession and control over it. Means you have lost something from inside your control, and that's why you are in pain. So everything is inside you. So your happiness and your sorrow, whatever is the emotion, is inside you. So who is the best person who can control it? Is that me, or is that your parents or loved ones or your friends? No one. It is you. All your happiness, suffering, misery, everything, whatever is the emotion, positive, negative, what is light and darkness, and what is strength or non-strength, what is your joy or your grace or your pleasantness or your ecstasy or your sorrow, your negativity, depression, anxiety, whatever it is inside you. बाहर कुछ भी नहीं है, सब आपके अंदर है. Accidents will happen with you in your life, and that is life. Everything will not be pleasant, everything will not be a la la land. Accident, unfortunate things will happen with you in your life, because that is the definition of life. In Bhagavad Gita it is said that the definition of this world is dukkhalay ashashvatam. Dukkhalay, the place of never ending misery. Ashvatam, never ending. Dukkhalay, sadness, sorrow. So this is the definition of this world. Accidents are bound to happen, but one thing, one beautiful thing is under your control: reaction to it. In this attempt of 2018, I was shattered that I reacted so badly that I didn't talk to anybody for 3 consecutive days, and then on the fourth day, I packed my whole belongings from Delhi and directly came 1230 kilometers to my home place of Bid district in Marathwada, Maharashtra. I stayed there for 2 months and did nothing, literally nothing. This was an overreaction, a cycle of overreaction. Later, my parents counseled me and asked me to give a last try, but with a different strategy now. And I also devised, as I said, that I increased my acceptance level. I increased and inculcated the values what I was reading in UPSC syllabus, that Nishkam Karma Yoga from Bhagavad Gita. Nishkam Karma Yoga from Bhagavad Gita. Anekantavad. Anekantavad from Jainism. This is plurality of truth. Plurality of truth. That even truth is not absolute. It is also relative. You should have plurality of thought. You should have wider acceptance. ये भी सही हो सकता है, वो भी सही हो सकता है, सिर्फ मैं ही सही नहीं हूँ. You know the story of six. What is six for me is nine for someone. Now, in our solar system, we say that sun always rises in the east. This is only because our planet rotates from west to east. That's why sun rises in the east. I think Venus and Uranus are two which rotates from east to west, and therefore the sunrise will be on the west of these two planets in our solar system, which means even the rising of sun is not absolute in this same solar system. What is an absolute truth for Earth is not an absolute truth for two other planets. So in this way, you should widen your horizons and accept the things as they are, and accept the all possibilities that you might be able to clear the UPSC. Well and good. My best wishes for it. But if not, then certainly that is also a truth, and we should accept it. And then only your chances of clearing this examination will be wide. Okay. So this is how we will end our session. It was nice interacting you in last few days. We have even I was also enriched. Even I got enriched with many of the content of the economy that will definitely help me also. So thank you very much. Thank you everyone. It was very nice to be here on this platform. I also thank our mentor Vishnu sir for giving me an opportunity. His hard work is unparalleled. is really I highly appreciate the hard work that he's putting into the civil services to make the journey of an aspirant relatively easier. I also thank Vikram for all the technological support that he has taught me. I was not into this digital technology a lot, but he has taught me. Thank thank you everyone.